Brothers and sisters, this article comes from MadameNoir.com. Candace Owens didn't know racism, but sued for discrimination. This article came out November 12th, 2019. Many of us watch Candace Owens, and we know what she's doing. She's swaying with the wind, rolling with the punches, chasing the platform, and most importantly, the money. That's right. There is a lot of money in cooning. Black people saying everything they can negatively against their own. White people, they get off on this, and they're willing to pay for it. For years now, she's alleged that President Obama race baited the country with his rhetoric. She amplified Donald Trump's message about making America great again, claiming that in our criticism of Trump, we've somehow lost our way. Well, Obama was not responsible for any of this race baiting and all of the prejudices that existed well before Obama. That all existed well before Obama. And making America great again, what they really mean, what white America really means by this, ladies and gentlemen, is making it great again for them. Because it was never great for us. The messaging is consistent. Trump is good for the blacks. Y'all are tripping and trying to silence the right. Forever on brand. Candace recently appeared on Fox News to sing another rendition of that tune. Obama did a lot to tear this country apart. I do not remember when I was growing up having all these race issues, okay? Now remember, these are her words I'm speaking. These are the words of a dark-skinned black woman. Excuse me, y'all, I've got a runny nose. I really don't remember it. And suddenly, towards the end of Obama, we started hearing all this rhetoric drummed up. It became white versus black all over again. Well, it's always been this way. It has always been this way. I shouldn't even say all over again, because when I was alive, it was not an issue. It all became about race, and I really think they were laying down the groundwork for Hillary to run because they had already pre-selected her to be the president of the United States. Well, I sure as hell didn't vote for either of those fools. They're both fools, and they're both, to me, they weren't the best of the best at that time. They were the worst of the worst. Another panelist, a black man, asked Owens what Obama did to drum up racial tensions. Owens said the police violence stuff. He backed up the myth of police brutality. He added gasoline to a fire that was simply untrue. Well, she's lying her ass off. She's lying her damn ass off. How many times do we hear about police shootings of unarmed black men, women, and children in this country? I mean, one of the more recent cases, the Amber Geiger case that happened here in Texas, you haven't heard about that one? You haven't heard about one of the jurors who got shot and killed after that case too? Come on. The man told her that was untrue. She claimed it was. When he asked her why the jails were comprised of mostly black and brown people, Owen said it's because we commit crimes at higher rates than other races. No, we don't. We don't do that. Many black men and women are in jail right now, ladies and gentlemen, because of things like non-violent drug offenses. It is not because we are going robbing banks, holding people up, pistol whipping them. It's because of non-violent drug offenses. All of it is trash, as you know. For those who need facts, the Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Statistics released a report detailing statistics from 2012 to 2015. When you break down violent crimes, they happen most often within racial groups. White people are more likely to perpetuate a violent crime against another white person, and the same for every other racial group. But when you dig deeper into the crimes whites commit against each other than crimes blacks commit against each other, crime rates for white people are 4 times higher than crime rates for blacks. 12.0 per 1,000 versus 3.1 per 1,000 as of 2010. Black people made up 13% of the population, but 40% of the prison population. There's something not right about this number, Lal. The 13%. How can we be only 13% of the population for 150 years? That doesn't sound right. Meanwhile, white people are 64% of the population and 39% of prisons. The lies Owens tells about black people are not relegated to strangers. She even tells lies about herself. Owens said repeatedly that race was never an issue when she was growing up. But there are receipts that prove otherwise. Racism was a part of Candace's life, and much like the same way she's doing today, she got paid off of it. Yeah, again, like I said, a lot of white people in this country, I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of them in this country, they will pay top dollar to these coons. They will give these coons one hell of a butter biscuit to talk bad about their own. According to according to News Times in February 2007, at least 1 of 5 teenagers left messages threatening to kill Owens, repeatedly using a racial epithet during the conversation. In another message, the teen threatened to burn Candace's house down and tar and feather her. That's something they used to do to black people not too long ago. They would tar and feather us. I see nothing's really changed. One of the teenagers was the son of Stamford, Connecticut Mayor Daniel Malloy. Malloy's son Sam, who was 14 at the time. Owens was able to sue the city for failing to act on the harassment because of his familiar connection to the mayor. Sam was not the investigator of the phone calls. Instead, it was then 18-year-old Evan Kopech, a former friend and classmate of Owens. 2 days before she received the messages, Kopech and Owens were involved in a screaming match during class. School officials suspended Kopech for that incident, but there was another situation that happened off campus where he was not punished. The school argued because the police didn't make an arrest, they wouldn't punish him. But you see, if we did that shit to them, they would punish us. They would throw the book at us. Because of the phone calls, Owens left school for 6 weeks, saying it was traumatic to attend school with her alleged callers. Once Kopech was arrested, she was returned. Well, if racism didn't exist for you, you shouldn't have no problem. You should have no problem, being around these people. But you see, it only happens to them, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever racism happens to them, it's real. But when it happens to anybody else, and whenever we talk about these things, oh, racism doesn't exist, it's all in the past, stop being stuck there. Man, these people are full of shit. Owens filed a lawsuit claiming the school district and their decision to delay punishment did not protect Owens' safety. They argued that the school federal Title IX law banning discrimination in schools that receive federal funding. Owens was eventually awarded $37,500 from the Board of Education, so Homegirl knows what racism is. She was absolutely right to get her coins, but she learned a sinister lesson from her misfortune. Instead of this opening her eyes to the suffering of other black people around this country, she used racist ideology to make money. Yeah, and she is not the only one who does this. The Jesse Lee Petersons, the Bernard Parises, the Larry Elders, they all use this to make money. They're hustlers. They're race hustlers up in here. She validates white supremacists with her notion that racism is over and that she never experienced it, which we know is a lie, when in fact she has. Like her lawsuit stated, It certainly has traumatized her, but that trauma went way beyond her missing weeks of school. The trauma manifested in the ways she proceeded to hurt other black people. Yeah, the way she coons for dollars. That's and really it's still hurting her because she is still having to coon and buck dance for the butter biscuits they're throwing at her. That's what she's having to do. But I mean, the next time she says racism doesn't exist, I want every black person to throw this S in her face. Throw it straight in her face and say, you is a lying ass bitch. And she is. But anyways, thank you for listening, watching, commenting, subscribing. If you are not a subscriber yet, please consider becoming one. Have a good day, night, morning, evening, wherever you're at in this world. Peace and love always. Bye-bye.